And she's like, so we took a trip across country to go to the Walmart. And he's like, you went across country just to go to Walmart? And the other grandma was like, yeah, we got sidetracked along the way at Lowe's, but we ended up at the Walmart, and we went there because they have a diversity of things like the orange dirt. He's like, orange dirt? The other one's like, yeah, I think they call that clay. And the other girl's like, Clay Aiken's here? And she's like, no, Clay Aiken isn't here. And she's like, is Clay Aiken Aboriginal? I was like,
don't forget the one about the Netflix dude.
Oh yeah, the one with dementia's like, so I think the boy who delivers my Netflix is gay. And he's like, you mean the mailman? She goes, no, not the mailman, the boy in the blue shorts with the stripe on the side and the funny hat and like the white truck. And he goes, okay. And she goes, yeah, his dancing costume, and he carries a satchel like a purse. And he's like, that's the mailman. She goes, is that what they call them now, mailmen? She's like, I just thought he was a gay boy.
That's fantastic.
She's like, he comes 3 times a week to drop off my DVDs. And she's like, I don't even have a player. And he's like, what do you do with the DVDs, Grandma? And she goes, I throw them at the dogs to play catch. I send them back with teeth marks and drool over them. I hand them to the little, takes them away. I'm like, oh my god. She's like, they're talking about this. They're talking about Dropsy. It's like, you had the Dropsy, and the one with the grandma with dementia is like, Dropsy is here. And then she's like, didn't we throw Dropsy in a pool one time to see if it could swim? And he's like, Grandma Isa, Dropsy was a bunny. And she's like, maybe that's why he was screaming and kicking. I just thought it was somebody with Down syndrome and really long ears. It's like, no, Dropsy was my rabbit. Why did you throw Dropsy in the swimming pool? And she's like, oh, you weren't there. I believe you were off at the gay camp. He's like, the only camp I went to was like Bible camp. But she's like, oh, I'm out. Christians are gay too? And I'm like, what the hell? I was like, this is insane. It seems like these 2 women who obviously aren't his real grandmothers, but they're pretending to be, and they're just like going off, and I'm just like, this is hilarious. They actually sound like Bob and Tom, but like doing old lady voices. I'm like, this is
I think somebody.
She goes, I farted. And he's like, you're the only other person in here, and he's like, so you burped? And I'm like, yeah, but I followed up with, oh, please excuse me. And he's like, yeah, but you should have like covered your mouth when you burped. And he's like, you need to come to my office. And I'm like, for what? I burped. And then he grabbed me by the ear and he dragged me.
Couldn't be any worse than the
I got rug burns on like my back.
couldn't be any worse than the recess teacher on duty dragging my ass down to the principal's office back in 2nd grade for urinating on the school outside because they wouldn't let me go inside to use the toilet, so I figured I'd be a good little beast and piss on the wall.
Chris, are you releasing your seafood sandwich back into the ocean? Be free, little bits of mutilated baked crab meat. Be free!
Then when Mr. Robinson, the principal, asked me, why'd you urinate on the school property as like on the wall instead of going to the men's room, I was like, and so I had to go somewhere.
Good answer, honestly. Why do you piss here? Because they wouldn't let me piss where I'm supposed to.
I had that problem. It's like, you can't go inside and use the bathroom, but I have to pee. It's during recess, but I'm not doing anything out here. I'm walking around being bored and I really need to pee. You can't go inside. Alright. The first time I ever peed in school because the teacher wouldn't let me go to the bathroom because it was during the middle of a test. My mom like sued the school board for emotional damages because I was in like the 5th grade. He wouldn't let me leave at all. And I was like, okay, I can pee here in my seat, or I can pee on his desk.
Or you could do like what you
While you were contemplating that decision, you peed yourself.
Yeah.
Like, well, I could. Too late.
or you could have done what one kid did once.
Well, I got home and she was pissed. I called her and I'm like, hey, like the teacher wouldn't let me go pee during the middle of a test. He said I had to finish it first because I really had to go. And she's like, well, that's ridiculous. And she goes, well, I have it. I'm looking at myself. So I was like, oh, come on, Vicky. So she picked me up, took me home, because I was embarrassed. And then she called me from the school board, like right after we got home, and she screamed for about an hour. Like, I mean, screamed. I never heard my mom scream before. She was screaming.
Or you could have done something even better.
I was like, I've magically been transported to Ireland. There are banshees here.
Except for
They're gonna scream.
Except for one kid in my 6th grade class did this to the substitute teacher we have on April Fool's Day. Yeah, he cheese whizzed her purse.
Are you vlogging?
Yeah.
That was a perfectly good way.
Hi, I'm Steve Archer, and welcome to the fake news. Today's top story: chubby
Like I said,
males
he
in
could have
purple
done that
shirts
to the
become
teacher,
Chippendales
just in her
characters.
purse.
Because you led by example.
That's right. Because I led by example.
Did you hear Wendy here earlier? When we were talking about waiting till April to tell his girlfriend.
No, what?
She said we were horrible people. I go, no, that's just Tiger talking. The real me's out to lunch out left field. She goes, you sure it's left field? I go, yeah, all the characters from the 80s are out there. We're all having an 80s metal mosh pit headbanging to Metallica.
Fire, because everyone's there. Wait a minute, it's more of a personal rivalry.
So, camera, how are you today? I had to change the topic somehow. That was the closest thing. People are like, hey, how about them Red Sox? But I hate baseball. Screw the Red Sox. How about those Red Sox? My socks are white and gray and dirty. Shut up.
Don't judge me.
I don't use bleach.
And you want to know something? The Celtics are even worse than the Red Sox.
So,
And it is a different
that's horrible. So I'm a steak. Eat it, and you're still gonna be okay. Worms, no deal, because meaty mints are treated with a special chemical that takes all the bacteria off from steak as soon as you touch it. Available for $19.95. 4 easy installments. Call now.
If I bit my head,
Billy Mays here. Shit, wow.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, ready? Here's my awesome joke. 2 nuns walked into a bar. The other one died. That's it.